Welcome back to the long fly ball pod after a bit of a hiatus last week due to the MLB start of things for the MLB opening day. We are back. Tyler is at my house. I was at my house last week for the episode that we recorded. Just didn't get that all the way finished. We got a pretty brief episode today. It's been a interesting 35 minutes as Royals fans. Really an interesting last week as Royals fans. A lot to look forward to and a lot of questions. We are going to start off with some stock risers, some ranking rebuke, and then we'll get into MLB talk. Next week, we will have a special guest. Um, you'll see a little bit about that the day this episode comes out. So, first one that we want to talk about is Lindbergh. We were kind of low on Lindbergh in the top 25 last week. It was the Rockhurst of the week, is what we're going to call that from now on. Um, they sit in the 20s as of now, but they've got three really big wins that I think we should talk about. Vianney, Fort Zumwalt South, and Blue Springs South. They won 5-1, 9-7, and 13-8 in those games. Really, I just think that the thing about some of these St. Louis schools is they all keep beating each other. They've lost to Seckman and they lost to Fort Zumwalt West, which will right the Fort Zumwalt West went off. They only have one loss or two losses now, I think. So we kind of have to give them a little grace on losing to the number one team. But the Bats have been getting it done for this group. Michael Polite committed to Memphis at shortstop. He's got 14 RBI. Aiden Stuber hitting 606 on base, rather. And they have 7 players with a 1+ OPS. Lane Elder has 16 RBI and 6 doubles for that group as well. They've been offensively really good so far. I think the difference has kind of been what they've been doing on the pitching side has left a little bit to be desired. A lot of the thing with the St. Louis schools this year has just been the way they've kind of played against good pitching. Vianney got stuck with it. Their bats cooled down eventually, and their bats have been uncharacteristically hot for anybody. But they've been giving up 7-8 runs in a lot of these games, and then obviously they've got 5 games where they've only given up 1 run. I think this week we'll kind of see that group grow. They lost to Seckman on April Fool's Day. They won yesterday, and they play Melville and Cedar Hill Northwest this week as well. So I think through those games, we'll see this team prove itself just a little bit, and then they've got a back-to-back with Eureka next week that should kind of pique some interest as well. So I'll pitch it over to Tyler, and we'll keep going down the list of the teams we've got here today. They're gonna be a rankings juggernaut this week.
They beat Logan Rogersville.
Yes, they beat yes.
You put them in the rankings?
No, they will be in the rankings probably next week. They weren't in this week though.
No, I'm talking about Logan Rogersville.
Yeah, they're ranked. I
That's the
think.
one that you've been hyping up.
Yeah, and they're still, I think, the
You,
second best team in 4A
yeah.
or 3A rather. Yeah, they're 15th this week. They hopped Tolton.
Okay.
Yeah, Tristan Hunter. He's been on it. I mean, can you really he's Missouri's active leader in strikeouts.
Mhm.
They've scored 9 or more in every game except for the game they played Logan Rogersville. Tristan Hunter is going to have an opportunity to kind of record chase in the same way we saw Kennedy Diggs record chase
Mhm.
last year on the softball side. I really think that as long as he is healthy and as long as they're hitting as well as they have, they are going to be a force in 4A. But they could, I mean, run into Logan Rogersville, run into Tolton, somebody like that.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where I see them, maybe falling apart a little bit. Because he can't pitch every game. It's not, you're going to have a day where you've got to put somebody else on the mound, and hopefully they'll be able to, kind of roll with that. Willard, this is a team that they don't have the star power. They're sitting at 8-0. with wins over Glendale 7-6 and 9 innings, and Lebanon 7-4. This group um, is their lunch pail, getting it done day in and day out, guys. They don't have anybody ranked in the top 200 in Missouri on PBR. I checked. I'm seeing these names and I'm like, I haven't seen half of these before. I've seen some of them putting in stats.
You telling me like 2014, 2015 Royals?
Yeah, like a group of guys where you're like, this team is beating Glendale, who has the best third baseman in Missouri, Lebanon, who has a lot of solid athletes on that team, and these guys aren't getting any love from any of these, big level scouting um, platforms. And it's interesting to see. I mean, obviously Willard, a juggernaut program. If we look into their history, they are hands down a top, 10, 15, whatever you want to call it, team over the last 5 or 6 years. They've just beat everybody. Uh, and they've done it without a lot of, hoorah. It's interesting. They won the state title in 2021. They got third in 22, and they were 28-10 last year. And then they got third in 2019 as well. In the last decade, they've went to the state tournament and placed 4 times. So it's like and obviously they have had some very good players come through their program, but coaching wise, I mean, Scott McGee has it going on there. He's an excellent baseball coach. And this is a group of guys, come late May, when we're really looking into who can win a state title. Willard's near the top of my list from teams down south.
CBC. They lost 2 of their hitters last year, coming into this year, right?
Yes,
And they brought back one of them.
I
They
think
all had like 14 plus home runs or something like that.
the kid who got drafted. Yeah.
He got drafted by the Red Sox in the second round. I'm not going to try to say that last name.
He's got a super Italian last name, I thought. Hold on, I'll
Yeah.
pull it. But they were kind of like
They were iffy coming in. Their pitching.
Yeah.
They were definitely carried by offense last year too. But
I mean, if you look at their scores from this year, they are like they have a 8 to DeSmet. They give up 2 or 3 at least every game. They've had one shutout game against Jackson and it was a loss. They gave up 2. But 16 against Howell, 8 against Holt, 5 against Eureka. We talked about it in one of the earlier episodes that like there is a benchmark for where you want your team ERA to be when it comes playoff time.
that's not it.
Yeah, right. I mean, what do we want to set that at? 3, 4? Like with teams like CBC, it's different for teams like CBC where, they've got last year they had Zanatello had 9 homers. Caden Peer had 11 homers. I mean, they had as a team, they had 25 plus homers, which in high school is pretty outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 guys with 40 plus RBIs, Peer and Ryan Stevens. And then Jake McGee, who's been their best hitter this year, had 24 RBI and 2 homers as well. So it's just interesting to see, the rich kind of got richer offensively for them because they brought back 2 very good hitters, but their pitching has just kind of been meh so far. They beat Eureka and they beat Rockwood Summit, who had a really big win today. But their losses, Francis Howell, Jackson, Fort Zumwalt West, kind of give them a pass on Zumwalt West and Howell, but those weren't particularly close losses. And that's where I kind of get scared with them is like where, what is this team going to do in May when they play a team full of hitters like Howell, and they got to go blow for blow with them. Ray-Pec 10-4 now. It says 10-3 on my sheet, but they are 10-4 as of about 45 minutes ago when they lost 2-1 to Blue Springs, who's kind of hopped, back up after a rough opening week for them. They're 10-4, as I just mentioned, and really still led by that core group that we saw develop last year. Blue Springs was their first loss in Kansas City. All 3 of their other losses came in Arkansas. The problem is they don't have a top 25 win. They beat Rockhurst. Rutgers has not been very good this year. They have a couple what would usually be qualifying level wins that are, quad one wins that this year just are not quad one. Micah Henson, elite. Diesel Purnell went from one of the most highly touted players in Kansas City to, a guy kind of in the middle of the pack, and he's had a good year. Got a lot of sophomore and junior help on that team that's going to really, power them into the playoffs. But District of Death on that end, it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure because the districts are a little bit different this year. Let me look uh, at the class and district assignments.
I feel like they still need to prove it win. If they beat Blue Springs, it
I
would have
mean,
been
and
even
well, it's the
better
best
for
of three
them.
series because it's the Suburban Gold has been playing the series as
Yeah.
recently. So they've got three. I haven't looked at the stats yet, but I'm gonna venture to say because Blue Springs hasn't played this week that Gibbler pitched. And if so, then I mean a 2-1 game is not
Not
bad.
bad.
I mean, when you're playing a guy who really has I think he'll get drafted. I'm not a draft expert. Um, but if I had to guess. But Blue Springs has not given up a run or more than a run in their last four games. So, and the only time they have was today against Ray-Pec. Yeah, Cole Gibbler got the start. He went 6 strong, 13 strikeouts. He gave up one hit. And Lincoln Stevenson got the save, but he nearly blew it. They struck out 15 as a team. So, adjusting from the pitching they've seen thus far this year to Blue Springs might take them a game or two, but they've got two more to figure it out. I should have checked while I had it pulled up if Micah Henson pitched. Like, I wonder if it was ace on
Mhm.
ace or if it's different in high school baseball, uh, which is interesting. But I will get back as soon as this loads. Shout out to Game Change. Have you had stupidly long loading times on Game Changer this week?
Yes,
It's
checking the
taken me
softball stuff.
forever. Olson pitched. He went 4, and then LaRue came out of the pen. So Henson will probably throw tomorrow or Saturday. Um, but they're a group I'm definitely interested in. I don't think they'll crack the top 25 this week unless they take 2 off of Blue Springs. But definitely an interesting story there. We'll flip it over to the Kansas side, where we've seen some weird upsets, some interesting stuff. Tyler had a take from earlier in the season that's right. So far,
Does that surprise you?
you've looked good on the Kansas side so far, dude. You've looked all right. I've looked like you on the Kansas side. Like the Olathe South pick, I don't think is gonna work. In rankings rebuke, we do have some funny questions about that, but we'll kick it off with Mill Valley, I think, if you want to start with that one.
So they have wins over St. Thomas Aquinas, 5-2 score, and Olathe North 9-2. They lost to Millard West and Shawnee Mission South. Both solid wins. Shawnee Mission South was competitive. Uh, they're being led by Drew Yaki, by the way. Great season so far.
Yeah, I mean, like 4 RBI in 7 games, and then one game he has 7. So he's just kind of caught fire with the bat. Um, Shawnee Mission South has also been weird. We didn't put them on there today. They've been weird. Like they've lost some really interesting games that they shouldn't have lost,
Mhm.
and they've beat Blue Valley North and they've beat Mill Valley, and it's like it's really because Liam Roche. I'm gonna guess that Liam Roche has pitched in both of those games, and that's the
Mhm.
piece of this equation that I'm missing. But it's been interesting to see because in Kansas it's a little bit different. If you can get out of a game without throwing crazy pitches, you can throw the same day.
Mhm.
So if they somehow go on a run late in the year and they get to that state quarterfinal, Roche can throw in the state quarters, semis, and final if they don't burn his pitches. Or really, he can pitch in both in the sub-state game, the first sub-state game, or the second sub-state game. If you really think you're going to win the first one, they end up playing like a 13 seed. You don't throw him in the first sub-state game. Throw him in the sub-state championship. and then you can throw them the rest of the way if it runs out your way. So it's like that was the difference between Kansas and Missouri is that Missouri plays the games so close that you can't like
Throw your ace out there consecutive.
logistically couldn't throw your ace all of the state tournament. Um, like I know
Shawnee Mission. So Drew Roche,
Mhm.
he's the lefty, right?
Yes, Liam Rush
Is
left.
he the one I texted you about last year, like calling him like Jason Vargas?
Maybe I think that might have been the Shawnee Mission West kid. That he's been playing really well at the JUCO level too. I've seen Brandon
Mhm.
Stone, or he might have been Shawnee Mission North.
It was a lefty. I don't compare righties to lefties. Come on now.
Shout out
I
to
think the game I went to with Brandon Stone, he
shout
can
out
lit
to
up.
this water bottle company specifically. That's free promo. Hopefully they'll send me a DM now. But uh they they also have been pitching pretty well. We're not gonna run the Millard West. I'm pretty sure Millard West is like a top 5 team in Nebraska. So we're not going to totally hold that loss against them. At least I didn't. I hold
Mhm.
losses against them, in the ranking process, but in a game like that when you're playing, I'm pretty sure they have a top 10 draft prospect on that team as well. Uh, so not going to run it against them. But Bo Peterson, 9 and a third inning pitch, 2.25 ERA. 11 strikeouts to 4 walks. He's had a good year. Cooper Schreiber, also 9 and a third, but he's got a .75 ERA. Walks have been his issue, though. He's got 10 strikeouts and 10 walks, which is pretty not nuts that he's got 10 walks in 9 and a third innings and a .75 ERA. It
That
just
is.
he's walking you or you're out. Like he's not letting anybody get on base. He's just
At what point do you just say just stand there and don't swing?
right. I mean, just make him throw you strikes is probably the scouting report, but it doesn't look like that's really been the best idea either. I'll have to look at like game by game if there was just a game where he walked 7 guys. Um, but that's what I've seen so far. Now we move into the Olathe section of this episode where we're just going to talk about Olathe for 3.5 minutes. Olathe East, they have 3 top 25 wins, 2 against Wichita Northwest, and 1 against Shawnee Mission East. Obviously no losses at 8-0. They were the number 1 team this week, and it's a lot and mostly in part due to their pitching. They're on fire. Scott Matzke, 16 innings pitched, a 1.31 ERA, 18 strikeouts to 5 walks.
Mhm.
Carter Lizard, 14 innings pitched, a .5 ERA, 20 strikeouts, and 13 walks. Holden Meadows, 15 innings pitched, 1.87 ERA, 11 strikeouts to 5 walks. So those are 3 guys that have a
It's like the
cumulative.
Royals rotation.
Yeah, right. And their bullpen hasn't given up a lead every day yet. We will get into the Royals' struggles here in a minute. But Olathe East, they were a top 25 team going into the year. We expected their pitching to take a step up,
Mhm.
but not a this level step up where they went from a team that we thought could mix it up. They reminded me a lot of what Shawnee Mission East was last year, where you're like, this team's good. Will they go to the state tournament? Who we don't know. Will they escape sub-state? And then you're like, oh, if this team just gets on a roll at the end of the year, like Blue Valley North did last year, could be really dangerous. So they're in that pack, and they've just kind of stepped it into another gear to start this year as well. Tyler, we're gonna flip flop 4 and 3 because I do want to give you an opportunity uh to talk about something that you got right that I will accept with anguish.
The MVP pick is leading Clay Center. They're 6-0. And he's not just leading. I mean, that's like Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper.
Not even.
Just
I a 636 batting average is impressive. Like more than impressive. Player of the year caliber. 3 homers, 13 RBI. He has 12 walks and he hasn't struck out once.
that's
That's insane. That means he's taking that like I wish we had access to the
breaking pool house.
yeah, it's insane.
Why pitch to him? You know?
Right. I mean, at this point, like pitch, you got to think they're throwing away from him though. Like
Yeah.
I haven't seen him play yet, but you have to think that they're like not throwing to him anymore. Why would you? I don't have his stolen base stats. I wish I did. It'd be hilarious if he's got like 20 stolen bases already. Like he's walking, stealing second,
What's
third.
his on base percentage?
Well, if he's got a 636 batting average, it's pretty high.
With 12 walks.
Yeah, with 12 walks and no strikeouts. So it's like, how is he getting out?
Like 800 on base, probably.
Okay, 800's a little high.
800.
Let me look.
Because
I
it's not like a large sample size, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's not a super. Well, Kansas has already only played like 8 games.
So
Uh,
800 is not out of the question.
I guess it's not. I guess it's not. Let me look. He has a. I don't think it gives me average. Why is it not giving me on base percentage? That's weird. I can
Calculated.
only see his average right now, but I will calculate it. He is 7 for 11. Uh, yeah, he's only has 11 at bat. He has 14 runs and 11 at bats, which is all that you need to know. Um, he has 7 hits and 11 at bats and 12 walks. So that's pretty insane. That makes him 19 for 23. Whatever. Hold on. Let's run that through the calculator here. He's hitting his on base percentage is 826. That should be illegal. Uh, he is I have been going through this week and like looking for player of the year or like
Mhm.
to update the leaderboards. And I didn't know who I wanted to put at one, and I just kind of kept stacking guys at like 2, 3, 4, and then I saw him, and I was like, okay, we're gonna throw you up at the top here. He is like the baseball version of Isaiah Howard. Shout out to Isaiah
Who's
Howard.
that? There's a softball player in Kansas that has like an 800 career batting average.
Oh, dude, we talked about her in episode 1. Like she could win player of the year. I can't remember what her name is though. I looked at her stats like
Insane.
15 minutes. I have not been drinking enough water and I worked out today. So I am like running so low on water. My body is struggling. While you look that up, I'll get on to Olathe West though. Olathe West, huge, huge win yesterday over Gardner Edgerton. They won 15-0 over the number 6 team in Kansas. They were ranked number 13 this week. Uh, their big wins have come against Gardner. They beat Olathe South 3-1, and they beat Valley Center, who was ranked to start the year twice. They don't have a loss. Max Hamilton, 11 2/3 innings pitched, 0.000 ERA, 20 strikeouts to 2 walks. He's allowed 3 hits over 3 starts. They have 4 hitters hitting over 400. That's Cam Carter, Micah McGavran, Luke Sarman, and Roy Roseman. We knew Cam Carter was going to be good, but this lineup has really followed suit with him. They will be in the top 5 conversation. They will be one of 2 Olathe teams in the top 5 conversation
Mhm.
this coming week. Before we do really get into some of that Olathe business, though, I do want to talk about Bishop Ward. They're like 3rd or 4th all time in Kansas state championships. They've got 13.
Shelby Underwood.
Shelby Underwood. Okay, I knew it was a pretty that sounds like a softball name. Shelby Underwood sounds like a dog name. Like she is a dog. She is a dog, but sounds like somebody who could just be an athlete, you know?
See if I can find her stats from this year.
Gotcha.
Excuse it.
Bishop Ward, they have 2 top 25 wins, both against Lansing, who will likely, begin that tumultuous fall out of the top 25. They're led by Chris Mancinas, who has a 700 batting average, 3 homers, 2 triples, and 9 RBI. 7 hitters in this lineup are hitting 400 or above. That is how potent this team has been on the base paths. However, in 8 innings pitched in 2 starts, he is in 0.00 ERA as well, 9 strikeouts and 2 walks. Bishop Ward is definitely a team to watch In 3A, I think they're one of the top 25 teams in Kansas now. And they'll be on the cusp of moving up in the next couple of days. You're about to say something insane.
Guess her batting average this year.
Is it above 900?
Yes.
What? How many games?
It's 4.
Okay,
917.
bro. I'm
Her
looking.
on base percentage is .993. She is a 2.850 OPS. She's slugging a buck 9. She has 3 home runs, 11 hits, 3 doubles, 10 RBIs, 10 runs, 3 walks. Don't pitch to her. 2 stolen bases.
I mean,
Hasn't been
why
caught
would
stealing.
this is insane, Tyler. But that should be illegal. Like, why would you pitch to her? Like, this is Barry Bonds level, like, just throw or intentionally walk her every time. You
Northeast
should.
on
Arma,
Arma, Kansas.
Arma, Kansas. I
Let's
think
see
I
where
did
this is
both
at.
somewhere near Arma, Kansas in the last couple of weeks. God, you know what? I have
160
I have a
miles
lot
away.
of good things to say about Kansas baseball this year. I don't have a lot of good
So,
things to say about the state of Kansas in the last week. I had to drive from Kansas City to Wichita and back. It's bad. It is bad. There's nothing there. And they were doing controlled burns on my way back. So just like all I smelled was smoke the whole time, which could be worse. I guess it could smell like a crap.
that's a great smell. I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
but it got overbearing at a certain point when you're like driving through it. And you're like, fuck.
You're
Uh,
not used to it. I can tell.
we're
City
gonna
boys out here.
we're gonna cut. We are going to cut that part out.
What do you mean?
I cursed in the middle of a sentence.
Oh.
Rankings. I'll leave it in. The sponsors don't
So
care.
if she bats above 800 this year, like player of the year, MVP.
Is that a question? Like, if she
It
bats
should.
the fact that like I understand
Okay,
that the
so
qualifying
her
bar.
last 2 seasons. So she's 2024 graduate.
I would hope so.
So I'm guessing her freshman year isn't recorded on Max
There
Prep.
was no season that year. Her
COVID
freshman
year.
year would have
That's
been.
right. So 36 total games.
No, if she's a 20, my freshman year was the COVID year, so she would have been in middle school the COVID year. Maybe they didn't play one that year either. It was shortened, or I don't know. Because 21
No,
was
it's
the
probably just
freshman.
not recorded on here. It was probably a game changer.
Yeah. Um,
36 games, 807 batting average, 71 hits, 92 RBIs, 13 home runs.
can we
And that's not including this year.
did you just hear what you just said? Like, she has a career.
Career batting average is probably what, like 830 right now?
Yeah,
Not if
it was 807 going into this year.
like let's find we got to find out that freshman year.
Yeah, I mean, even if she could have hit 500 her freshman year and she would still be like a career 700 batting average. Um,
So what year would that be? 2021?
yeah, it'd be 21, 2020, 2021 in max preps, but it's 2021. Um, Honestly, most of rankings reboots we've already talked about. Howell got upset by Timberland yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of pans out in the next ranking cycle. I think they've kind of been human. Their bullpen especially has been human. Um, but at other times they've seemed inhuman where you're just like, oh, Howell's the best team. It's not close. Um, Staley lost today to Liberty, which is never a shock.
Liberty always has some good
It's
wins.
right. The thing about Liberty is never out of the hunt for a state championship, or at least winning their district. So I don't know what we'll chalk that up to. Liberty will probably be back in the rankings, and Staley will fall a little bit at all. Tyler, how many of the Olathe schools could justifiably win it all?
Are we talking about softball or baseball? Because
Both.
there's a lot.
Both.
Both.
Honestly, I think
99%.
every Olathe school could win it in one sport. Olathe Northwest could win it in either, but probably softball. Olathe West could win it in either, but probably baseball. Olathe South could probably win it in baseball if they put a good stretch together at the end of the year, and if Blahovich can pitch at the end. Um, Olathe East is number one, and I think that's it.
Hmm.
South, north, east, west. There's one more, and I know I said it. Let
Northwest, somewhere up there,
oh, listen, no,
southeast, whatever,
that's
whatever it is.
only Wichita has a southeast. Wichita's even worse when it comes to the directional schools. Um, but I mean, God, I just clicked on Pladson stats again. What a guy, man! We've got some astronomically good hitter in Kansas this year. Um, One of the big things that we've talked about throughout the pod this year is how good St. Louis kind of is as a whole.
Hmm.
Um, Fort Zumwalt West, I think, is the undoubted number one, but even they have a St. Louis loss to Westminster Christian. How many team the it's interesting. It's kind of a
So
tale of
sorry,
three cities. Hmm.
sorry to interrupt. I got
Hmm.
a freshman year stats pulled up.
Oh,
All right, this is still pretty insane for a freshman.
yeah.
She batted 508.
Okay.
This is in 78 player appearances. Had a 615 on base, a 1.69 OPS, slugged above 1,000, had 31 hits, 7 doubles, 2 triples, 8 home runs, 36 RBIs, 31 runs, 14 walks to 6 strikeouts, and got hit by pitch 3 times.
So
And had 14 stolen bases, no caught stealing.
here's how astronomical her stats are this year. Okay. You just said that she hit what, 508 as a freshman?
Yeah.
She was getting on base 40% less than she currently is. And she was hitting 508. And she has been 40% better at getting on base. Do you know how insane that is? That means nine and change amount of time, like rounding down, obviously. 9 times out of 10, she's getting on base. Nine.
That seems pretty solid. What do you
They
think?
pay you $300 million to get on base 3.5 times out of 10 at the
She
next level
committed somewhere
or in
right
baseball.
this.
But that's
She's
insane.
not committed. To my knowledge, she is not committed.
Okay, we'll look into
Why
that.
is like why is Tennessee or Oklahoma not like here's an
Unless she's good.
NIL bag?
Right. I don't know. We'll look into it. We're gonna watch some game tape after this. Um, that's really all that we have on the high school end. So we will pivot to a couple minutes of talking about the MLB. Tyler, today's been an interesting day. You and I had a conversation last week about James MacArthur, and you thought that he was good.
He okay. He you can't judge a pitcher by 3 games.
Okay,
Let
so
him get settled in. Let him get settled in.
I I there's a fine line. We're gonna start calling this line the Hunter Renfroe line because I'm starting to the wick is burning for Hunter Renfroe for me as well. I love this team 90% of the time. I think the front half of our lineup is very good. I think Michael Garcia has been, a top whatever you want to say hitter in baseball so
MVP
far.
caliber. I
Yeah,
think
he,
we
he
have
has
two
3 homers
MVP
in six
players right
games.
now. Salvi is even having an MVP season.
And he's like 78 years old. And Salvi is hitting backside singles and getting on base. Salvador Perez. And Bobby Witt is Bobby Witt. The back half
Miguel Garcia is Miguel Garcia.
Right. The back half of our lineup has been okay. We're still waiting for Vinny to get going. We're still waiting for um Nelson Velasquez has been good. We're really still waiting on Hunter Renfroe. Adam Frazier had an RBI yesterday, but we're
You
just
got to think Adam Frazier he's not the starter. He's a placeholder. He's going to move to
right.
the bench when Michael Massey comes back. Massey's your everyday second baseman.
And I just think that only the bullpen has really given me the Jesus, this is the Royals that so far this year. Starting pitching has been the best. We have the
I
best
think they said.
starting ERA in Major League Baseball.
They said like a 1.45.
It's 5.4 or 4.5 or either way. Our starting pitchers are giving up less than 2 runs a start. And I understand that we haven't had some like game breaking offense where we're besides the 11-0 win over the Twins, where we know
Where
we're
they gave up in the third inning, taking out their starters that they know that will get hurt.
right. So like I don't understand why. I mean, it'd be cool if we could just reel off 6-1 wins, just kind of have good offense throughout. In the bullpen, just close it down. But it feels like
I think we do need a back end closer. I don't think we have a closer. I think we have a bunch of guys that aren't in the roles that they're supposed to be.
well, did Will Smith close last year?
A little bit, not a lot.
I,
He fell
I
off of the end of a map last year. But you
yeah,
got to think the Rangers were closer by committee. They had Chapman, Will Smith, Jose
fair.
Leclerc.
Leclerc, yeah.
Um,
I I just think I agree. I think we have pieces and we've just kind of tried to put them in the wrong spots thus far. Um, Thankfully, this is one of the saving graces to a 162 game season. Is that 6 games in, you 2-4 stretch to start the year is not game
Bobby
break.
Witt started like what 0 for 16 last year.
It it just bothers me that finally we've got this offense that I'm excited to watch,
We have
and
our first true ace
we've
since
got a
Matt
start of
Greinke.
not even just a true ace, a group of starting pitchers that I don't go,
Have you
oh
seen? I've
no, this
never
guy's throwing today.
I've never seen this where after the starter comes out, the other four come up to him and they have a group huddle.
Yeah, that like
I've never
the
seen
energy is
that.
there. Like it's so this team is different than any of the other post World Series Royals teams that we've seen. And it sucks that this is how it started because really I think we should be 4-2 or 3-3. I
Could we
understand that
take
bad bullpen games happen, but two
could we
of
take
three.
2016, 2017 Royals bullpen still? Is there a way we can trade for that back?
I I
That
don't
was the
even
only bright spot about those teams.
I'm okay with us not having the best bullpen in baseball. I don't think it's logistical. I don't think we can do it with the money we're spending in other
I
places.
think we should trade for a closer.
I think we should either trade for a closer or try to figure something out to get a
Do you know
true.
who's a perfect mold to trade for? So the Royals, they have a quote unquote one of the worst minor league systems,
Pitching
which is
minor.
not true because scouts love what we have in the minor leagues. So I don't know how
We
they
don't
rank this.
develop them. Like
Yeah.
we're like, I mean, and it really like
This team is, I think they're undefeated this year. They might have lost one.
Pittsburgh.
No,
Pittsburgh was the last undefeated team, I thought.
but they definitely lost. But they traded away their star closer last year or 2 years ago when they were winning games, and they even made the playoffs. But they traded him because they had another guy back in line. The Brewers, give me Devin Williams, and they have another guy. They have
I
Uribe.
forget Devin Williams is in the league.
They have Uribe right behind him, who is just as
Right.
electric as Hader. I don't know where they keep getting these closers from, but they keep having closers.
Hey, do you?
And,
I don't.
and
You don't do
while we trade
scouting on the
for,
show, dude. Like when
yeah,
you put the
I
show.
just started. I just
Really?
started it.
Have you realized that like every year there's a 99 overall closer like that you can draft in the 7th round? I swear I'm
Yes.
doing
Not in the seventh. All the closers are taken by the fourth, which makes me mad because I like taking my starters.
right. Like I have a kid in my Royals like rebuild, my true to form one, where I'm just gonna try to build through the draft. I have like a 72-year-old, 72 overall, 18-year-old that I drafted in the 4th or 5th round, and I got him for like a $336,000 signing bonus. And he was like the best player in the draft. And he's like the number one prospect in baseball, and I got him in the 4th round. I'm like, the MLB just throws him in. Do you remember last year in franchise, there was like a guy every couple times that you would start a franchise? there was a random closer in the
in
free
free
agents.
agency.
Yeah,
Yes,
where you're like, who is this?
they've
Like,
got that better this year.
oh, I haven't seen one yet. I haven't
And have
seen.
you seen like if you don't sign them like through the draft, they go to next year's draft and they're
Mhm.
better. Dude, I've been poaching off of other teams,
Oh, dude, I have been too. Where I'm
but
like, here's this kid I wanted to draft last year.
I've lost a couple of people too. Like I drafted a guy in the fourth or fifth round and ended up going the first round the next year, and I'm like,
Brutal, brutal. But I don't. I think we tend to overreact because we don't. You don't want to lose. You never want to lose, and we're two
okay.
and
I feel like the only reason why KC fans are overreacting this year is because this stadium, which got denied last night. I don't know why one county gets to pick if baseball and football stays in KC.
okay. I think one county gets to pick this time. I think it'll be different. And I voted yes. I have opinions on
I
uh
can't vote in it, so
right.
I'm not
I
a resident.
right. I have issues with the stadium proposal that they brought forward. I think it was rushed. Not totally by the fault of the committee. I think Frank White did an awful job at trying to harbor that relationship with them for whatever reason. And
Do we take down his retired number?
I think if we leave, absolutely we do. Honestly,
I
I'm
mean, like,
surprised Sherman didn't try to today. Like,
take that two off and put a three for Giordano.
what we need to do now is that there are two ways that this really works out for Kansas City. Is that they say, okay, this failed because we didn't propose it to voters correctly. And I'm honestly here the big thing, the reason that I think it failed, besides the outside stuff, 24% of people voted. 24% of eligible voters voted. Because
It's
it's
probably because everyone thought, oh, it's gonna pass. Why would I vote?
well, yeah, like the same, like the non-voter paradox that we saw in 2016. Not trying to get political, obviously, but we've seen it before, where voters didn't flock to the box because they're like the ballot box because they're like,
Did,
I
did,
don't care.
did you see the thing about how they turned away people for
I
wearing Chiefs?
I don't think that.
It was an accident,
Mhm.
but they did it, which
Yeah,
I thought I was like, what?
election laws are weird. Like you can't wear a t-shirt with an elephant on it if you're working in
But
a ballot box.
yeah, it was meant for the workers, but the workers were like, oh, so if they're wearing gear, we got to shoo them away.
No, no. But my big thing I think it failed just because they couldn't appeal to voters. And Casey tenants, I don't agree with what they have to say, but I think that they did a very good job at marketing themselves for better and for worse. I think people either align with them or they don't. They're very radical. I don't align myself with them, but I respect the job that they did to get their point across. And I never thought that the Crossroads Stadium was the best spot that they could have put the stadium. I thought the East Village was the best possible spot they could have put the stadium. Um, but what I absolutely am sure of is that we have 2 years to figure this out, or else the Kansas City Royals are going to leave, and the Chiefs are going to move to Wyandotte County.
The
Uh,
Royals will go to Kansas. They'll never leave KC.
I
They'll just go.
where are we going to put both of them? Like
They'll
I
they'll
and I don't
both
want
leave
him
to
to move.
Kansas.
If I want him to move, I want him to move into the heart of Kansas
You
City, and I
you
hope
you, you got to think. John Sherman is KC blood. He
right.
will never leave. He'll never make the team leave.
I think they just say they're going to so that they can like try to fearmonger people. I
And
think
plus, like Patrick Mahomes is a minority owner. You think he's gonna be like in
right.
Eric Stone Street? They're gonna. You think they're gonna be like, yeah, let's go move him
Take
to
him to
like
Nashville. Right.
Oakland. Like
Take him to Nashville. I Here's what I would like to see happen. I think that today, when John Sherman got into the office, his first thing should have been a phone call to Frank White that said, "Hey man, we both screwed this up. Let's come up with something that really supports Kansas City."
with Clark Hunt on the other
With
line.
Clark, yeah, a conference call with with Mark Donovan, Clark Hunt, Sherman, uh, and Frank White. And we have to say, listen, guys, we need a comprehensive plan that we don't change 56 times. We give people reasoning. You go door to door for every business besides that weird strip club that you're going to displace, and you say, let's come up with something. You've got a year to get it on the ballot, but 2 years to get it on the ballot box again, on the ballot. And that should be the whole goal of this. Because I don't think that people don't want a downtown stadium. I think that people want to know what they're voting for. And that was the big issue, is that it felt like so rushed. And I voted yes because I do think that it's going to be a good thing. And I'm
It's gonna
okay
be a
with it.
great thing for downtown.
I
It's
agree. I think it will revitalize, not even revitalize, it will make us what we are. And that's one of the best sports cities in America.
I know you don't like Rex Hudler. You have very strong opinions about
He's
Rex
been
Hudler.
really bad the last 2 days.
Been really
He's
bad.
had some good
But
things, but he was bad today.
but I think on opening day, or not opening day, it was like a couple days after first game in Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
He was talking about how the cities have changed because of downtown
Yeah,
stadiums.
they were talking about Camden Yards.
Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Detroit, definitely Detroit. Number one.
Right.
Baltimore is another huge one because they had that giant empty building that they built it. Why would you do that?
Right.
I mean, I see the point of it being downtown. The power and lights right down the road. Sprint Center will be right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have power and light right down the street.
And the parking thing where it's like,
Parking is this. You can park down the
first of all,
road for
anybody
the
who's worried about
streetcar.
anybody that's worried about parking is not somebody who goes to enough Royals games to worry about it. Like we went to 10 last year. Obviously, it'll be a little bit tougher. But like in Dallas when we went to the Cotton Bowl, uh, parking passes were absurd. Like to pay for parking. You're trying to tell me that every business in downtown Kansas City is going to be like, yeah, $20 park here, $30 park here.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is in St. Louis. You drive by a gas station right by Busch Stadium. Oh, $40 to park here, $30 to park here. I don't think it's that big of a problem. I would love if they could not build a bunch of parking garages or if they're going to, screw it, build a parking garage right next to the stadium
Put
and
it in
have
the middle of that Sprint Center and
the home run porch. The home run porch. You can just hit bombs onto people's cars. I think it's a great idea. But I just hope that they can come to a concrete conclusion and present it to voters in a way that makes sense.
I feel like they changed up a lot, and that was a huge
Yeah,
thing. Like they kept changing their mind, and
it
but
it felt like every single time that you would go to bat for, like every time that somebody would be like, I don't like it, and I would be like, well, there's this about it that's good, and they're like, oh, they changed that. It's like,
but
you,
I did see something on Twitter or X, whatever people call it these days. It's still Twitter.com.
it's still Twitter in my brain.
Yeah,
Is
but
it?
I feel like you should wait till the end of the year, see what the Royals do, because that's the big thing. Like, yes, the Chiefs are winning, but why would you want to spend money on the Royals? But I have a feeling the Royals' success won't matter either way. I have a
Right.
feeling that they're going to pull up all these numbers, be like, this is what happens when teams move downtown. Like there's a Mexican mayonnaise.
Hmm.
Mayonnaise downtown. Do you know how much money they're going to get
Right.
now? Like Mayonnaise is a great restaurant. They're gonna get more service.
I honestly, like, even if they end up putting it in Northtown, I think the only reason that I'm this for a downtown stadium is because I want both of these teams to stay in Missouri. I don't know why I have this putrid hate for them being in Kansas, but and I think they'll stay either way. Like
They'll
we,
no none of the owners of either side will let them go.
I I don't
You don't move a city after winning championship, even though Kansas City Kings, but we don't talk about them.
right.
But normally you don't move after winning a championship.
Well, first of all, Clark Hunt, his dad, was a football pioneer in Kansas City, and I mean, after his mom died, and they win another world championship, and they have this player in Pat Mahomes that stands for so much in Kansas City as a football player and as a role model and as a financial mogul and the wealth that he's built with owning sports teams and what him and Brittany have done for the Kansas City Current and in building women's athletics as well. I just think that there's absolutely no chance that the Chiefs are going anywhere.
The
Um,
Royals won't go anywhere either. There's no
and
chance.
I really don't think that there's a I think the percentages are very close to zero for the Chiefs and a little bit closer to 1% for the Royals. I don't think either of them are going to leave. I
Like
I think
you
in the
look
heat
at
of the moment
recent
when I saw the vote, I was like, oh, ugh, I don't like this. But
you look at like recent teams that are moving, like
mm,
relocating. Like Oakland to Las Vegas. It's not even settled yet.
I'm really interested to see how that's going to play
I'm
out.
because they're gonna have to play games in like Salt Lake City
They
and
just
at
extended their
AAA.
lease with the Coliseum.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
So
they got it done. So I
I feel
think
like they should play baseball in Oakland. I think Oakland's a great fan base, even though they are
I
crazy.
don't.
But
My
Tampa Bay.
disconnect has always been why are we having this conversation? Like the A's are bad. Yes, the A's are very bad. I watched them
Okay,
absolutely
the
suck.
owner is letting them be bad. They send
Their
out their
owner
best
is the
hitter,
reason they're bad.
and
Not letting them.
they bench Brett Rucker. They took out their two best players out of their lineup.
They sent Estoy Ruiz down. He hit like 490 in 3 games, and they were like, "All right, send him to AAA." Like the league is going to get involved with him soon, for like service time manipulation or whatever
Mhm.
with Ruiz, and it's like it's I don't know. It 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 bothers me because the fans want baseball, and the goal of the MLB in a time like this where baseball has not really clicked the way football and basketball have with our
I mean,
generation.
baseball's going up right now.
It is. But I think that their goal that hasn't been their goal yet should be to make baseball the most digestible product possible. Baseball is one step short of golf boring. It
No,
I I love the game of baseball. Baseball is my favorite sport. I play basketball pretty consistently, but baseball is my favorite sport to watch. It's my favorite sport to follow. The reason that it's so undigestible is because games are still pretty long and there's not as much action as
two
basketball.
2 hours is not long.
Okay, 2 hours of a basketball game and 2 hours of a baseball game are two very different things. 2 hours of a basketball game is 200 points scored, and you're like, there's been 14 different highlights. There's been a guy coming up top and dunking. In baseball, you're like, he had a single in the fourth. That's why the game was 4 hours long. And fans of the game of baseball really enjoy that. I would love to go watch a 2-0 game where both starters are dueling. Um, but a lot of people don't because it doesn't appeal to people. And it sucks because the MLB makes it hard to watch or hard to go out and watch these games. Because think about it, dude, the price that I pay for Bally's and MLB TV a month, I might as well just go to all the Royals games. Like, I
I don't know.
seriously,
Tickets pretty high this year.
I pay $19 for MLB TV with a student discount, and I spend $19 on Bally's. So it's like, what am I doing here? And obviously, like, it's not awful because I'm not paying it year round, but I'm paying
Mhm.
$70 a year to watch the Royals, it feels like, and equal enough to just watch other teams in the league. And I mean, I've been watching 3 or 4 games a day, but or passively, of course. Um, but still, it's just the MLB is the only team or the only sports group that does that, and it's because they play so many middle of the day games in April.
They just play a lot of games. That's why you don't. They play a lot more games than any other sport. That's why you don't get like the full coverage, and it's not even close. Like I see, like you want to watch every game, you want to watch every team, you want to watch the best players.
Mhm.
It's not really like possible. Could you imagine Bally taking every game, every team, and saying, "Here, everybody could watch it, whatever game you want"? It
Uh,
would definitely not work.
100%. My problem is not with that. My problem is that how many games are televised to ESPN, CBS, and Fox every week? One, Sunday Night Baseball. That's it.
MLB, they have like three
MLB
or
has
four.
one or two a week. I'll even give them the high thing and say that I'm wrong. Five televised games a week. I don't think it's enough. I think there should be Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday should be ESPN games, 7 o'clock. Make it happen. And I'm sick and tired, like most other baseball fans, that the Red Sox and Yankees get to play 5 Sunday night baseball games a year. It's the dumbest thing ever when they're both mid. Like last year, it was like Sunday night baseball. I was like, are we really watching this right now? Like, and I get it. Like bad
See,
teams have to play each other. The A's are unfortunately going to have to play
see,
other bad teams.
I get it. I get putting okay. You can put Yankees and Red Sox on a Sunday night baseball game
Yeah, they're
whenever
all
you
good.
want. It's because they're a rivalry.
Right.
The stories you can tell during the game, what might happen during the game. It's not like if you put a Royals Cubs game on Saturday night or in Sunday night baseball, it's not going to be as interesting as a rivalry game, which is why San Francisco Dodgers get a lot more. San Francisco Padres get more.
I,
Like you get the rivalry games. Like, do the Royals really have a rivalry?
the White Sox, but they suck.
In 2015, 2016, the White Sox games were always broadcasted.
Right. I'm not saying that every team should have national TV games. I'm just saying that teams that historically have been good that are not that good should not have as much televised games. Because like let's be honest, the Red Sox are not going to win the World Series this year. I doubt they'll make the playoffs when in that division. In that division,
Have
there
you
are
seen them this
four
year?
there are four good teams in that division.
Have you
They beat
seen them this
the
year?
A's in extras yesterday. I don't know. But
The
being
A's have been decent this year, which is surprising.
I know. The
I
thing
think the Red Sox are 5-1, and their pitching rotation has been up there with ours.
the here's my problem though is that you make yourself less attachable when you have like the Yankees and the Red Sox playing on Sunday Night Baseball every Sunday, and then you are not acknowledging like how many Sunday Night Baseball games did the Braves play last year? Maybe I'm being obtuse here, but I think that you should be like the reason that the NBA had the growth that it did is that they were having really good games televised. And they did a really good game, really good
I
time.
feel like all the games that the MLB gets put on Sunday night turn out to be good.
I think they turn
I
out to be.
remember I remember watching a couple years ago when Max Muncy took Madison Bumgarner into the river, and Muncy told him to go get it out of the river
I
or in
love
the ocean.
like that. Like I think that the MLB should be trying to do that as much as they can. And I think that they've fallen short a little bit on making baseball as digestible as possible, but they are making strides in the right direction. And I understand that a lot of my criticisms cannot be done overnight. They can't wake up tomorrow and say, here, every game ever, digestible, at your fingertips, go for $19 a month. Like it's not if it was, I would obviously pay for it. But I think that when economically speaking, when you're making somebody pay money for something, it has to appeal to them on a certain level. It's the value, it's the supply and demand curve of people wanting to watch baseball, and it's fairly it. I feel like it's interesting because look at football. We talk about football all the time. 24/7, 365. There's a football show on ESPN. Like with baseball, we don't have that, and I think there's ways that we could, and it's just an
Hey,
interest.
we got intentional talk. Shout out Kevin Millar, the
Mhm.
best slider in MLB history or diver.
Right. Slurred. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop myself here because we've went a little bit over time. But another good episode. I'm
Cool.
glad we got to talk about the MLB. I'm really looking forward to the next couple episodes of the pod. We will see you on Friday at 10 a.m. and every week after that. Long Fly Ball, episode 5 in the books.